Welcome to the Michigan Runner Show. Join us each time as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great sport.
We're at Michigan Veg Fest. There are 5,000 people descending on this conference center, and we found Joel Dalton, who has run the Boston Marathon this week, and we're with Mr. Ubiquitous himself, Gary Morgan, who was also there. So, Joel, had you run Boston before?
No, first timer.
Oh, wow.
5 of us, 4 were first timers running it, all from our neighborhood.
How many of you finished?
We all finished. Actually, one of us was injured. Our friend Jana couldn't run the entire race, so she ran the end of it.
Oh, so, well, before all the commotion, what did you think?
I had really the best race of my life, honestly. It's the best experience ever. I finished as strong as I've ever been. I was wearing a Michigan shirt, and I heard so many Go Blues. I was wondering if I could keep getting the breath out, but it just energized me, to be honest. It was a blast. I mean, it was really fun.
Had you been to Boston before itself?
I'd been to Boston, not for very long, probably 10, 15 years ago, and did the touristy kind of things.
Well, there's a lot of touristy things to do there. So, Gary, you've run Boston, what, 11 times?
Yes, this was my 11th time running it.
And you started in the third wave, which meant that you didn't have as much of a chance to finish as people who started earlier.
No, we didn't. We start 40 minutes after the first starters, and so then just kind of shuffles in from there. And I did not get to finish. I was at the 25.7 mile mark when they closed down the course at that time. And there's a section of the course that goes underneath Mass Ave. Well, they stopped us at the top before we started going down there. It's about a half mile from the finish. And we waited there about 30 minutes, and different reports came out. And eventually they just said the finish line area is closed, so you'll have to walk around Commonwealth Ave, which is parallel to Boylston, and down and to where the buses were to pick up your bags that you had dropped off at Hopkinton, where the buses were.
So, Joel, you had finished. Where were you when you heard the bomb?
Well, my friend Roger and I actually ran a good race. We re-qualified, so we came in about 3:25-ish. I was 3:23, and we worked our way to the finish. We'd all agreed that we were going to finish and get to the finish to watch our other friends come in, hopefully. And that was going to be our meeting point. So we were in the Lenox Hotel lobby, had just ducked into there, and we're about to step out onto Boylston Street when the first bomb went off. And we watched all the police officers charge out within 2-3 seconds outside. And when the second one went off, they came back in, many of them shoving people back into the hotel, saying to get away from the glass in the doors. And after that, we, pretty quickly raced for our phones to try to catch up to people. And found out pretty quickly that 2 of us, Eric and Jana, were safe, but we didn't know where my wife was at the time because she was in the finish area, and didn't have a phone. So as we all know, after that, the communications became kind of spotty, and there was a lot of Facebooking and texting, and eventually we had to evacuate our hotel, so we were just heading out into the street to a place where we thought she might think to go. It was a previously planned sort of meetup on James Street. We couldn't get there, but we separated on the sidewalk and looked for her among all the other same color clothing and silver blankets and running hats. We eventually found her face in the crowd, and ended up jumping sort of from bar restaurant to bar restaurant as they gradually expanded the area of the crime scene. And we were fortunate we got back to the Lenox Hotel through the National Guard and the Boston Police, who escorted us to the hotel, which was closed, and helped us pack up all of our stuff. And honestly, 2 police officers carried a bunch of our bags with us a good mile back to where we could get a ride to Newton with a friend of a friend. Ironically, the next day we decided to stay away from the whole area, so we went to Watertown to have breakfast at the Deluxe Town Diner, and we laugh a little bit about it now. We thought we'd stay away from the chaos. We just didn't know that the chaos wasn't there yet. And so a couple days later, we were watching our diner on the news all evening. So But we re-qualified 3 of us. We have a bunch of other people who want to qualify and re-qualify, and we're going back next year, guaranteed.
Well, that's the Boston spirit. It's not going to keep you away, right?
No, I think the opposite. I think it'll be bigger than ever next year, and everyone's telling me the same thing.
So, Gary, you had a kind of a different experience. It must have been so weird. There's an iconic photo of all the runners who are stopped.
Yeah, it was, and I was right there at that point, and I was right there at the front with those people. And it was different waiting to know that, and when they stopped us, I figured we probably were not going to finish when I heard that there had been an explosion at the finish line. So I heard the race was going to be over, and eventually they would just tell us to go down and get our bags, which they did. And, it is what it is. I mean, nobody could finish, and everybody's asking, are we going to get our medals? And I knew they would. Anybody crossed the 25-mile mark where they have a mat, and I talked to a guy who had said almost 5,000 people had crossed that mat, did not cross the finish line. I'm sure BAA will be mailing out medals for the next few months, to say the least. But, it is what it is. It makes for a story. I've done it 11 times, and this will be a highly memorable time to know that I wasn't able to finish that last half mile because of what happened at the finish line. But that's part of road racing. Anything can happen out there.
It's been quite a week, and I used to live across the street from Watertown and lived in the Boston area for 10 years, so all those places were really familiar. In fact, those places are familiar to almost everybody in America. So congratulations for finishing, Joel. And I keep thinking it must have been so terrifying not knowing where your wife was for, what, half an hour?
It was a solid hour. We, initially I received a text from my daughter congratulating Jackie on her finish, so I knew that she was done. That was all that I knew. And, it was terrifying. Honestly, once we got together and we got past that, during that experience, you really couldn't let it into your mind that we weren't going to find her. I mean, I really just was waiting until we did. It's later when it strikes you that the sound that you heard, what happened when that sound went off. And also the fact that our families weren't at the finish, as they so often are. They're always there. We always have friends there taking pictures, and this time we're so lucky that they weren't.
Well, it's been quite a week, and I think that the one thing that keeps going through my mind is that every runner's a story. But this week, everybody who's ever run a race has really been in Boston in spirit the entire week. So I really think Boston's going to be stronger than ever. So congratulations, and thank you for talking with us.
Yep, it was definitely a crazy experience, but I'm glad I was there to see something that the city came together and the runners came together through all the tragedy, because I stayed an extra day, and to know that Boston is strong and runners are strong, and the marathon will go on next year.
I agree. We've said it so many times. I think it was devastating and inspiring all at the same time. It's hard to explain that.
I think we saw it. Thank you very much.